Hey, Mitchmeister here again with another video. Since my last one, I've moved from New York to Kentucky. A little change in job positions. Um, I'm doing a video that was inspired by Mrs. Volfie, and I'll have a link down below for Mrs. Volfie's uh, inspiring video. And she did a video on oven canning. Oven canning is basically taking your glass jars, whatever it is. She even used it looked like a Classico spaghetti jar and put beans or rice or something in it and then put the lid on. I don't remember what the content was in that specific jar. But basically, take the jars, put them in the oven without lids, 200 degrees, 1 hour, pull the jars out, set them on the counter, then put the lids on. And then you wait for the ping, just like you do with pressure canning. The only difference is you did this with dry heat in an oven. This does two primary things. A, it provides a vacuum, and B, uh, removes moisture. You're heating the content up. You're getting the moisture out of there. So when you put the lid on there, the contents inside and the air inside contract as it cools and then sucks a vacuum. Simple. Very simple. Problem. She did herbs and they kind of got a little scorched. So did the powdered milk. So not everything. The grains and legumes went through the process, no problems. But not everything can be done through this process, as she concluded. So this video is going to be how to deal with those items that can't go through that process. Um, in the automotive industry, when we open up an air conditioning system, when we put it back together and we're ready to put the Freon in the AC unit, we have to pull a vacuum on the system to remove all the moisture. Yes, a vacuum will remove moisture from the contents of an enclosed space. So basically, if you, even with, I did the video on Mylar, vacuum sealing Mylar bags. See, well, this one was done November 2011 and still quite vacuumed. Mylar bags are great. She said not everybody can afford Mylar bags. Oxygen absorber. Oh wait, I didn't put any in there. Remember, I pulled a really deep vacuum on this. Oxygen absorbers really are not needed. If you pull a good vacuum, you don't need the oxygen absorbers. Or you can use the oxygen absorbers as a way to pull out any remaining oxygen. But honestly, once you pull a good vacuum on something, there shouldn't be that much moisture left in there. You're sucking the air out. There shouldn't be all that much oxygen in there in the first place. Remember, this is a vacuum. So, don't really need oxygen absorbers to vacuum seal. If you're vacuum sealing, you don't really need the oxygen absorbers. So, the primary things you need to do with the vacuuming, the primary thing the vacuum is going to do, as the heat canning does, is remove moisture and remove oxygen or air. Remember, vacuum, nothing. So, and these are the ways that we help prevent spoilage of our food, especially stuff that we want to keep on the shelf for long periods of time. And things that heat canning is great, but as Mrs. Volfie pointed out, some things like these dehydrated vegetables right here, these wouldn't heat can too well. These would end up being kind of black, shall we say. So you have an option like this in my video that I did the Mylar bags with, the pump and seal. Well, there's a problem with this for some people. This was $30 plus shipping and handling, so almost $40 for this unit. Thing is, it's already designed, it's already set up to pull a vacuum. I mean, you just put this on a lid and just start pumping really fast, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you can vacuum seal a jar. Then, when you order that almost $40, you get these little 100 of these little tabs, and the tabs go on the top just like that right there. And underneath that tab is a little hole. So what happens is, and basically this is nothing more than a piece of tape with a little piece of rubber on the underside. So there, the little piece of rubber. That little piece of rubber sets over the hole, and whenever you pull a vacuum, it lifts up to allow the air to escape. And then when the vacuum's released, the vacuum inside inside the container will pull it back down, and this will seal against that little hole. Simple. The only thing is it's like, I think, $10 for 100 of these. And then you got to pay shipping. Well, not everybody has a lot of money to toss around. So I'm going to show you some alternatives, but we're going to use the pump and seal first, and then I'll show you an alternative. So, let's see, did I cover everything? I think so. Okay, well then let's move on to the actual doing the work. Okay, now we're going to get on with the actual doing the vacuum sealing. And I did this video once and then decided I'd redo it because I didn't quite like it. So we have a jar. Inside this jar we have a Ziploc bag, and we're going to put a little bit of air inside the Ziploc bag so it, as you can see, it holds air. Shove it down inside here. Maybe a little too much air. There we go. Just want a little bit puffy. Shove it down inside, like so. Next thing we have here is called a vacuum gauge. Well, they call it, it's called a compound meter. But what we're actually looking for is the inside numbers going around the bottom. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and it comes all the way around here to about 29. Usually is about as far as the vacuum gauges go. So we're going to use this so you can see how the vacuum is working inside here. So you can get a good idea. The further down this needle moves around this direction, see, that would be counterclockwise, the better, the deeper the vacuum's going to be. In other words, we're displacing a lot of air volume, pulling air molecules out of here. So I set up a little setup here with one of the flat lids, and I got a adapter, piece right here for the hose to go on. It doesn't seal perfectly because I don't have the Teflon tape to put in the threads, but it works good enough. Now, we're going to start off with, get this off of here. We're going to start off with the standard pump and seal. Here's the standard pump and seal tab. We're going to take the little tab piece here in the center. Make sure you put it directly over the hole, and then press the tape down to hold it in place. Now let's go ahead and hook up our vacuum gauge. Okay, here we go. It's a good old pump and seal. Let's see if we can get this so you can see it. Alright, want the needle to move around the bottom. So we'll put the pump and seal on here. Oh. As you can see, each pump, because of the volume that this cylinder has, can only pull so much vacuum at one time. But handy little spring thing, pops back up. It's got a nice little tight seal around the bottom down here. So you just work it and you can put a fairly quick vacuum on this thing. And as you can see, we're getting it down there. We're right now at about 15 inches of vacuum. And if we keep going with this, we can get it pretty darn close to 29, all the way down as far as the gauge goes. And if you look inside, the bag inside is expanded. And to show you that it expanded, I want to release the vacuum here and watch the bag. See, as the air goes back in and the pressure stabilizes, the bag shrinks. Next, I want to show, let me get it out here. All you need to pull a vacuum is a tube, a plunger, and a seal to go around this piece right here. Now, of course, if your plunger just slides in and out with no problems, it's not going to do anything except just waste a lot of time. So we've also got to put a seal around this piece here. As you can see, I had one on there, but it kind of messed up. Electrical tape. Let's see if I can find the end of it here. There we go. Now, when I did this the first time, and where I made my mistake was I allowed the tape to overlap the end, the lip. And I was thinking that it would help in keeping the tape in place. Well, the problem is I pulled it tight, so the tape slipped off and gathered right here from the tension, from the stress being pulled in the center. So I'm going to do this. Instead of putting a lip on it, I'm just going to bring it, well, maybe just a little bit of a lip, not much. Maybe a 1/16 of an inch, 30/2 of an inch, just barely. Okay. And pull tightly, because we want this to, we want it to be solid. And if you put it on there loose, it may not work as well. I don't know. You can try it yourself. So now we're just going to wrap this on around. Once I got a couple of wraps on there, I want to take it back this way, down here, so I'm not putting a lip on there. Okay. Now, after I get a few wraps on here, next thing I have to do is to test to see if I have enough on here. So just pull it. One of the great things about electrical tape, you just pull it and it'll come out pretty smooth. Got a little bit of a ridge there, but nothing to worry about. Now, as you can see, this fits snugly, very snugly. And one way to check it is to put this. Remember, this is to help this piece here seal. So, because this is metal to metal, it doesn't seal very well. So we're going to do it this way. Okay, now. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, did you see that needle move? Watch this again. Watch the needle. Now, with the pump and seal, see it? How far did I have to, how many times did I have to pump this in order to get that much pressure out of this piece here? Well, it all has to do with the tube part. This tube, oh, okay. This tube is several times bigger than this tube. Therefore, this one here, in one swipe, can pull several times more vacuum per volume than the pump and seal can. This, I went back and looked, and it's about $46 with shipping, handling, and all that. This, well, let's see. The cylinder is a 12-inch tailpiece, or for sink. Yeah, this piece here goes up under the flange on the sink, and then this end right here would go down to the, I think they call it a P-trap, and it's made of brass. Looks like it's just chrome plated, 22 gauge brass inlet, one and a half inch diameter, 12 inches long. Cost me $3 at Lowe's. This cost me about $5. It was actually I think a 3 or 4 foot stick of almost 1.5, probably about 1.25 inch, or 5/8, something like that. I don't remember exactly. Wooden dowel. That's it. Just a wooden dowel. Picked this up for less than $2. This is just a little gasket thing I pulled out of here. This whole 125 piece setup here cost me $2. So basically, by the time you consider the size, I could probably make several more of these plungers. So we'll say I made this whole system right here for, I don't know, $6. 6 does several times more of the volume than this. This is just quick and easy, and it's already designed for it. Didn't have to do any work yourself. So, but any user, it works. You can see. Now, the little yellow tabs cost a bit of money. They're like, I think they come out to like 5-10 cents a piece. So, what we're going to do is, we're going to make one. What are these tabs? Well, piece of tape with a rubber seal. Ta-da! Well, we can do the same thing using that same $2, not even $2, roll of electrical tape. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off a piece of electrical tape like so. Then we're going to cut a strip. Now I'm not measuring, I'm just guessing how wide to make this. Get it off the scissors. Okay, so now we have a piece of tape. We're going to put that right here for right now. Okay, next we're going to take another piece of tape about the same length, roughly. Now, the one thing you never, ever, ever really want to do with tape is put sticky side to sticky side, because, well, then you have nothing. Get off of there. There we go. Then you have nothing to stick with, but we're going to do, no. We are actually going to take this strip of tape right here. We're going to put it right smack down the middle of that one. Uh-oh, I made a mistake. Alright, note to self and y'all. When I put the piece down in the center, I pulled it. Well, when I pulled it, it pulled back, and that's not going to work. Alright, let's try this again. Yeah, there we go. Alright, I need to kind of make this one right here just a little bit more narrow. So let's just do like so. Now this time, I'm not going to try to stretchy. I'm going to try to just lay it straight down in the center of this. Okay, here we go again. There. Alright. Sticky side up, sticky side down. Ta-da! Alright. Gonna have to work on the technique. If you can see that, I kind of got it going crossways over here. So I'm going to cut a piece out right here in the center, because that's right at about where it's centered. So you can actually make a very long strip of this. Do a whole bunch of these really fast. Let's see, it should be good right about there. Alright, so now we have one of these. Tape with a seal, with something to plug the hole with and seal. Simple. So now let's see how well this works. Now the tape prevents when the cylinder pulls the vacuum out, the tape allows the center to lift up but not come sucking up through the thing, through your vacuum tool, whatever it may be. put that over the center of the hole, like so. I hope I got that right. We'll find out here in a moment. Need to seal. Okay, let's see. Basically what I just made is called a check valve. Only allows air to flow one direction. It'll pull up as I pull the plunger up and start drawing vacuum. It'll allow the air to escape into the plunger, into the cylinder, and then when the vacuum's released, it'll pop back down over the hole and seal. So let's get it set up here, right? There we go. And voila. The vacuum is good enough that we can actually hold it out, as you can see. And if I keep going here, I can actually get this Ziploc in here to expand out and pretty much fill the whole container. Let's go ahead and okay, well, I think that gets the point across. And if you look, I don't know if you can see that. There it is right there. See that little dimple in the center of the tape? That's where the hole in the lid is. And I've got it set up so that it doesn't allow air to flow back down in through there. So, okay, we've got one more. See? Good vacuum. Okay, so now we have to get it out here. Now we have the even cheaper version. Remember, what do you need? A plunger, a cylinder, and something to seal with. Now this is just a little rubber foot thing that you would put on the bottom of furniture legs, or maybe a walking cane or something. This is a syringe. It's used for mixing the mixmizer. It's got graduations on here for mixing 2-cycle oil into your gasoline. A sealing, something to seal with, a cylinder, a plunger. Now, notice the size difference in cylinders. You got it. Not as much volume, takes a lot longer, and it's a little more difficult to work with. But this whole setup right here cost me $4. And it's just to give you another idea of what. And like I said, this one will take a bit more work. But as you can see, the needle is moving rather slowly. And this would, yes, take a very long time. But it does work. Now the seal on this isn't, there's not as much vacuum on here, so the seal is still enough to hold the jar, to support the jar. But it still has a seal on it. It still worked. So there's your options. So ideas for you. Remember, what do you need? pull a vacuum on something, how about a cylinder, a plunger, and some way to seal, to put it, some way to seal the end of your cylinder over the hole. Now, things to remember. The size of this check valve, see the size of the tape? The reason I make it that small is because it cannot extend beyond the size of this. It has to fit inside of the cylinder. That is why with this one here, I use that rubber foot, because there's really no way I'm going to get this to work over that. If this part of the check valve extends beyond this here, beyond the outer wall of your sealing surface, it will cause a leak and you won't be able to get the proper vacuum on it. Learned that one the hard way. One of the things I was doing was, before I got smart and got this, I was wrapping electrical tape around here and leaving some of it to come to the inside, but I would have like 8 or 9 wraps of electrical tape around this, so I have something to use as a seal. The problem is, over time, because of the tension on the tape, it kept pulling off of here, and then I would only have it on half of it. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be electrical tape. Anything that has a good rubbery kind of surface, as you can see, made this nice little plunger out of it. You know, just regular wooden dowel rod with some electrical tape. A cylinder. The cylinder is just a downspout for a sink. And got any suggestions, comments? Leave them below. Thank you. We're recording already.
Ready?
Okay, now, shop vac, wet dry vac, whatever you want to call it. Super fast. Watch this. Hit it, dear. Okay. This did a lot more than this. So, don't bother with the shop vac. Y'all have fun.